Good afternoon, folks. Here's a little update on a few things. The first thing is my little socket. I used it today, my USB socket, and I must say it is really good. It's not been raining, but I went to look at a BMW RT 1100 to test drive it for touring, you know, big long distance thing, and I hated it. When I got on my Interceptor to ride home, it was a better ride actually. So I did about 100 miles today, and because I've got no sense of direction whatsoever, I had to have sat-nav. Couldn't think of where on earth to mount it, so I stuck it on there, look, Garmin. And not bad when you're riding on the bike. I mean, pretty accessible, pretty visible. Slight looking down for it, but it did the job, and it sat on the tank exactly like that. I find Garmin to be amazing. I've got two of them. Cheap, reliable, easy to update, really fast finding destinations, and accurate, and you get lifetime updates with most of them. I've just updated both of mine. So the report is on the little socket, you know, it's certainly made my journey today a darn sight easier. And I would recommend a Garmin actually. If you can buy a little waterproof case for them for next to nothing on eBay. As I say, I've struggled really thinking where to put it. I put the sucker onto the tacho glass, but it wouldn't really stay on. You know, where do you put it? I know there's plenty of mounts you can buy that stick it here and sort of in your face, but I didn't have one today for my journey, so just stuck it on there. I was doing 70 coming back, and having tried this RT 1100, and you know, great big thing with fairings, and you know, I took it out for a test ride, and it was like driving a tractor. It was just, the gearbox is just horrible, and the torque making the thing waggle left to right when you blip the throttle. And it was an older one, it was 20 years old, 53,000 miles on it, you know, supposedly good for 100,000 miles or more, probably a lot more than that, but just not up my street. And you know, big sort of thing with panniers and all that, great if you're touring I suppose, but when I rode home, you know, approximately 50 miles on the Enfield, it was just totally different, just comfortable, you know, easy to handle. I think, to be honest, I don't know what people's thoughts are, whether you'd do a long distance tour on one. I think based on today's experience, I certainly wouldn't want to do it. I'd rather do it on the Royal Enfield than the BMW. Absolutely, 100%. You know, make it at a lower speed, maybe 60 miles an hour, sedate, blasting along on the Enfield. It's vastly more comfortable in terms of road bumps and things like that, with the bumpiness of the road and the handling and what have you. Just really, I was quite amazed really. It makes me realise just what a good bike the Interceptor is, really. It's just seems to have everything. It's got speed, I noticed that today, you know, gave it a good blast. It's certainly comfortable since the shocker modifications that I've done, you know, really noticeable. And having taken the BMW out, you know, yeah, it's enormous, you know, really big, and yeah, it's got a huge screen on it and knobs and things everywhere, but you know, it was a completely different experience. I think I'd rather take this on a more sedate tour actually. I wouldn't want to go blasting down motorways on the Enfield, I don't think, too much maybe, although I was on one motorway today, or a big dual carriageway actually, you know, but no, I think for a tour, you know, when you're going European touring and that, unless you're going down the French auto routes, I think this bike would be absolutely up for it really. I don't know what other people think. Would you contemplate touring? Have you toured on one of these? You know, get some bigger panniers, maybe you know, some way of putting extra bits and bobs on it in terms of luggage. So, you know, there's me little, that was my my socket, which is working out really well. And it's got the two of them on it, as I said before. Get my finger out of the way. It's got the LED, and you know, it's on for a good couple of hours today without fault. certainly powered up the sat-nav. So I would have been lost without the sat-nav today. I can get lost in the town where I live, and I've been here 26 years. I use sat-nav to navigate, so I really had to have it today, so just stuck it on the tank. Cleaned it first, so there's no grit underneath it or anything. And it was great, absolutely brilliant. Now the other update I've got is on the useless ST2 brake module. 4 days after I first approached my installation advisor person, as per their emails, I got an email saying send us your order number and we'll check the specs, whatever that means really. Anyway, I just said it's too late, I've sent it back, and I received a full refund on PayPal today. I did a PayPal dispute, escalated it to a claim. So that experience has cost me 10 quid. Cheers ST2, to send it back to Slovenia. So there's a happy ending in some ways, that at least I got 40 quid back out of my 50 quid. But not good, and I'm not mucking about with anything like that again, really. I've always given my brakes a little bit of a blip anyway when decelerating, and you know, that gadget just simply didn't work. I don't understand how changing, you know, saying what are the, I'll have a check the specs. I mean, what specs? It's a box, isn't it, you know? I can't quite make that ST2 out. People have said it's great, other people have said it's rubbish. One or two people said, you know, justifiably told you it was rubbish, and then other people say it's great. So I just don't get it. And there's plenty of deceleration on my bike when you let the throttle off. It was just rubbish, and I'm not impressed with the company, and I'm not impressed with the refund either. But there you go. To get an 80% back on a piece of kit that's as rubbish as that, I'm pleased. So there we have it. I've got camera project on the go, and we'll be updating soon. But like I say, today, you know, in terms of touring, has anybody done anything long distance? You know, I'm talking European stuff maybe, or going around the UK long distance. You know, I've done 100 miles and without incident, and it was a relief to get back on my bike after that test ride. It really was. So, you know, if people could post their thoughts on that, I'd be interested. Would you trust the bike to do a longer tour? Is it up to it really? I suspect 2 up with a load of luggage it might struggle in some parts of Europe maybe, but if anybody's done anything like that, I'd be very interested to know. And if it's been successful, I would probably stop looking for anything else. So there you have it. It was a great ride today, and the bike performed absolutely brilliantly. What a pleasure to ride this machine, especially with the drilled damper YSS front kit and even the little TEC shockers. It was a real pleasure to ride that bike, especially after that BMW. And you know, brilliant, just absolutely loved it. And of course it was turning a few heads as I went through the towns, and old fellas looking and wondering what it was, I suppose. But fantastic, really enjoyed it. So if you've been out on your bike today, I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. And if you're about to go out, take care, and I will update soon. Bye for now.